In the last video, we learned how we could override a global system variable, this corner full variable, and we overridden the border radius for all of our buttons. But what if you do not want to override a system variable for all your components? Like in this example, we have the toggle button component. It's overriding the border radius for these buttons, and it's also overriding the border radius for these buttons as well. Well, what if we only want to override a border radius at a component level in Angular material? And that's what we'll learn about in this video. If we go into the Angular material documentation, version 19, then go to components, and we want to override the button. So we'll select the button component. And here you'll notice they have this styling tab. This is totally new for Angular Material 19. If you go back to Angular Material 18, you'll notice that that tab doesn't exist. Let's open up that tab. And at the top here, you'll notice that they're using the button override mixin to override the button component. In a prior video, we used the overrides, the global overrides, to override the system variables. But now we're doing it at a component level. And in this example, they're overriding a couple colors by using these tokens. And that's what we'll be doing, but we're not going to be overriding colors. We're going to be overriding the shape of the button. If we scroll down here, you'll notice a whole list of different tokens that we could override, and it's endless. You can override fonts, you could override colors, the shape of the buttons, it's endless. So if you want to break this down, if you already know the name of the token that you want to override, you could break it down by using this filter option. The filter type that I want is the base. And then I'm also interested in updating the shape or overriding the shape. So I'll enter in shape. And these are all the tokens that we want to override in this video. Let's start off with the filled shape. And this is for the flat buttons. To get us started, I'll use this example that they have here. I'll copy this and we'll add it to our style sheet. Inside of our main style sheet, inside of the HTML tag, we'll comment this out. We don't need this anymore. So this is where we were overriding our global system variables, and we don't want to do that anymore. We want to override at a component level, so I'll add in our snippet. So now instead of using the overrides, we are now using the button override. And instead of overriding the colors, we'll override the shape. And then we'll set that to 5 pixels like it was before. And that's all the changes we need to make for now. We'll come back and add in the 3 other tokens we need to override in a second. But for now, let's see the difference between all of our buttons. We could tell our override is working for the flat button. As you can see, it's now 5 pixels for our button component. But if you actually look at another component, let's say for the toggle button component, this is now using the original default settings, the round border radius here. So we're no longer overriding the toggle button component anymore. We're only targeting the button component. And if we take a closer look at the button types, you'll notice we're only applying the style to the flat buttons because that's the only token we overridden. If you look at the basic, that still has the original default round border radius. And that goes for the stroked and also the raised buttons. This could be very useful. You could target specific button types without targeting all the other buttons. But for this video, let's go ahead and override all the different button types. If we go back to the documentation, and then we want to apply the outlined, the protected, and text, and that should override the rest of our buttons. Let's apply these 3 tokens to the button override mixin. Back inside of our button overrides, we'll add in those 3 tokens right behind the 5 pixels. I'll add it on towards the end here. And I'll save it so it formats it for me. So the first one here, the text container shape, this is going to add that 5 pixel border radius to the basic buttons. And then the outline is going to add it to our outline buttons. And then the protected is going to add it to our raised buttons. And that should override the rest of our buttons. Now there's one more thing we want to do. Copy this. And we want to add this to all the other classes like the tertiary, secondary, and error. And the reason is if anybody's using this error class within another component, other than a Angular material button component, we don't want to override everything. We only want to override the buttons in this case. So I'll paste that snippet here, and that goes for the secondary and the tertiary. And then make sure you save it, and let's check the browser one more time and make sure our changes are being applied. And now our 5-pixel border radius is being applied to the raised buttons, the stroke buttons, and the basic button. As you can see, the border radius there as well. So in this video, we learned a few things. Like we learned how we could apply a override at a component level, a Angular material component level. Also, we learned how to apply a override to just a type level, like just to a basic button or just to the flat buttons if we wanted to. And then also we learned how we could apply a override to a class level, like we applied it to the error, secondary, and the tertiary class, and these are abiding by the same rules now as we applied to the main HTML. Now in the next video, there's one more thing I want to show you about swapping out a Angular material theme. There's a online Angular material theme builder that you could use to help generate a custom theme, and I'll show you that in the next video.